Yeah, so till now we have seen in terms of the sequence to sequence mechanism with respect to the NLP concept, right? So we may be going to discuss with some of the computer vision concepts. We're going to be working with the tabular data sets. At that time, we learn NLP related concepts. So the tabular data sets are very familiar with respect to the machine learning engineers and also the data scientists. So what will happen if you're only playing with the tabular data sets? What if I have an image to classify any kind of the classes? So let's take this diagram so that I will quickly explain you the overview of the computer vision concept came into the picture early 1980s. So you can take this diagram as a dog. So this dog I will give to you your system or your human being. So I will give this to your system or a human being. So as a human being is going to be identify some of the patterns according to whatever the image you given, like what are the edges we are going to be try to find, and what how does the eyes and how does the nose is going to be looks like, and how does the ears is going to be structured for a dog. This we already know often, right? In our memory, the dog going to be looks like. That's the reason I'm calling as a dog. Why I'm not calling as any other animal? Because I have predefined kind of knowledge to represent a dog with some kind of the nature, kind of the edge, and also some of the nature with respect to something going to be unique with respect to the other animals what we had. Other than that, I will also call it as this is a cat, or this is a lion, or this is a tiger. So I'm not calling these terms, right? So at the time I call these terms, I will be encounter these are some of the unique nature when compared to the dog what we're going to be seen in this image. Similarly, what will happen if you're going to be with respect to the system while entering this image? So at that time image, or at the time your system may not be captured that much of integrity or that much of details with respect to the human capturing details what we had. So at that time you need to pass some of the kernels or some of the patterns according to this dog, so that it's going to be generate some of the patterns with respect to the training data set, and it's also going to be testing in terms of the testing data sets, whatever the classes you had in terms of the classification task or in terms of the regression task, you are going to be probability get the end. So same thing with respect to some of the different layers. So let's go and check out what are the different layers we have learned in the NLP related concepts and also the RNN mechanisms. You can say sequence to sequence models. So we have seen so many different layers called dense layer and CNN and LSTMs and also some other like GRUs. So different layers with respect to the activation functions. So we'll explain activation functions maybe the upcoming classes, but as of now, you can see this is some kind of the firing nature with respect to whatever the layers we had implemented on top of it. So whenever you want to join these kind of the mechanisms in terms of the CNN part, CNN is nothing but convolutional neural networks. So RNN we already know recurrent neural networks when we are going to be encounter to learn few of the concepts again and again, iterative process. So in terms of the convolutional neural networks, we are going to be play around with the image data sets. Image data sets. How many images you have in your data sets? We are going to be play around with that. Similarly, what will happen if you play around with the image data sets? It's going to be learn some of the patterns according to whatever the input images you are going to be passed. So it will be identify these images too in terms of array format or matrix format. You can see this diagram. If you see this diagram,
Hello,
yes,
Kim.
yeah, hi Anita, yeah. So we are discussing as a CNN part. If you probably miss the first part, you can rewatch this video, okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so the image, whenever you give this input image to your system, so I have an image, you just give into the system Any image, like suppose the dog itself, we have shown this diagram, the dog itself going to be shown in this diagram. It may not be identify some of the patterns or some of the features according to whatever the input images you had. Unfortunately, what will happen if you directly pass to, if your input, this is the input image and this is the your system, you will pass this directly, you want to be classified whether that is a dog or cat, whether that is a dog or, you can say not, and whether that is a dog or cat. So at the time you realize that is a dog, but as per the system understanding, it may not be capture some of the patterns, like how does a dog consist of the, you can say the edges, and dog consists of the ears and nose, kind of the difference between the cat and also the dog. So at the time, maybe you slightly, or your system slightly going to be confused at the time. For that, you have to pass some kind of the information in terms of an array. You can say any kind of the system you want to be passed. You want to be passed in terms of integers, or you pass in terms of, you can say, numbering nature. So that is a basic idea, I can say, why we are converting image into the numbering nature. So let's also look at this diagram, try to understand why we are doing these things and what are the different methods to do this, and what convolutional layer it's going to be helpful understand by using the any image processing data. So while giving any kind of the image, it's going to be splitted like this, like a pixel format. So this is one pixel, and this is another pixel, this is another pixel. So like that is going to be divided into the each and every pixel corresponding to the image size. So we have image input size with respect to height, width, and also the channel color, we can also call it channel size. So mostly what will happen, you will get height something 200, weight also something 300, kind of the thing. Channel color is nothing but